I was just on our Real 360 Mastermind call, and I mentioned that I'm using AI for everything. I am. Every discussion I have right now is feeding into AI. I'm recording myself. I'm taking notes. It's helping me get so much done just by leveraging tools like Claude and ChatGPT directly. They're all inside of our app, so you have access to all of these things, but just using it as our second brain. So, by the way, can you see my screen? Give me a yes in the chats if you can see my screen, or a thumbs up. All right, perfect. I see some thumbs up on the camera. Great. And so the goal of this session is to rewire how you think about AI. So it's from casually shift from casual usage of AI to strategic leadership. And oftentimes people use AI as Google. And in fact, it was in a group or somewhere I saw this the other day. It was like, well, what AI is it's Google, but it gives you better answers. That's not AI. And I think everyone on this call might understand that now. But to get better answers, you ask better questions, or you actually have it help you think. And so that's the rewiring of the shifting of the concepts. I did a whole new presentation for a class I teach. I teach a homeschool class of high schoolers speech. I just started last week, and I redid the entire curriculum in about an hour's time for the entire 12 weeks in about an hour's time using AI. After I saw the original curriculum, I said, this is going to do. I actually want to get what's in my brain, teach them what I learned from professional speakers, and not this textbook kind of dribble that was given to me to teach the curriculum. So I reinvented the entire curriculum from what was in my head in just a matter of under an hour. And the kids loved it. The parents that were in there, as homeschool rooms, the parents that did it loved it. It was entertaining, and it's miles ahead of what was taught in that book that we were given originally. So all of these things can be done with AI. So the other thing that I want to make sure that we do is install this mindset of AI empowered business owners and AI empowered teams. This is still something that we're working with our team right now. So the adoption of AI, of thinking I can do this with AI, or not even thinking I can do this with AI, just knowing that it's always there and always possible to have it. So your voice recordings or your notes, and just getting the habit of using AI for your brainstorming partner. Now, one of the things that I've realized about being an entrepreneur, and I don't know if you feel the same way, but as an entrepreneur, it's pretty lonely, right? It's you tend not to have somebody to bounce ideas off of. I'm lucky that I have business partners, but even still, like I want to drill out ideas. I want to figure out things. I want to see things come to life and then bring it to my business partners. So sometimes just the ideation of the ideation of creation is lonely. But AI really makes it available to you to really understand what's going on. And so we're laying this mental foundation for every future tactic and tool that we talk about throughout the rest of this training, because we're going to talk about our prompting strategies and our mindset strategies, but how we leverage that into everything else that we do. So in this 8 weeks, we're talking about content, we're talking about traffic, we're talking about these different areas of how to be unique in the marketplace, but letting AI do that. And that's a really, really important part. I want you to write this down. Super important. I want you to maintain your uniqueness. I want you to maintain your unique selling proposition or unique value, what makes you authentic. But we're using AI to elevate that and make it faster. There's a huge difference in using AI for everything, which is what most people do also, right? They say, AI, give me 5 emails. They take those 5 emails and they put them out in the world. Well, that's not what I do. I go back and forth. I have arguments with AI. I was fighting with AI this weekend in writing a sales letter. In fact, I wrote, which is crazy. So I wrote a long form, I wrote 3 long form sales letters. I wrote 3 short sales letters, and I wrote an entire website copy all within about 4 hours time using AI, probably close to nearly, I'd say 100 pages of copy. But I did fight with AI back and forth. But here's the thing. I actually took a lot of the copy, I put it into an AI generator and it passed with flying colors, not AI detectable whatsoever. How did I do that? Well, I'll talk about that in the copywriting section. But it's the way I think about AI, the way I fight with AI, the way I train AI on my voice. And so we'll talk about this during the training as well. And again, thinking like a CEO who leverages AI with speed, clarity, and scale. That's what we're talking about in this session specifically. So again, it's 8 weeks. It's weekly. We are live, so you will be able to interact. We're going to have focused assignments at the end of each training. So the most you'll get out of this, the way you'll get out of this the most, is actually going in. We have a chat. Everyone's in our circle. Interact there, ask questions, show us your feedback. Make sure that you're interacting as much as possible in that private circle. And you also have some bonus material, the prompt engineering certification and our VA hiring lab. Those are available as well. But focus on the core training when you can. And again, be sure to get as interactive as possible through our entire process. Really important. This is about thinking how to use AI, not tool specific. One of the biggest questions that we get when we do our Q&As on our VIP calls or when we're doing open Ask Me Anything sessions is, what tool can I use for this? What tool exists that I can use for this? That's what a lot of people think about AI. What tool is out there? That's not how I want you to think. I want you to think about what needs to be automated, what needs to be AI'd, what can I do, or what needs to be done in my business, and then find the solution. The great thing is you don't need to be the coder anymore. You have to be the commander. And I love that phrase because now AI can let you do so many different things with no code apps and automations and just giving you feedback. You don't have to understand the logistics or the specifics of getting something done. Your AI assistant is how you think about things. You can put it out there in the world and let it do work. We'll open up things like Manus. We'll open up things outside of our app, by the way, so you can use and see what's available now because it's moving so fast. And so you are the strategists. You're giving ideas, you're giving feedback. I always say this also, AI is the ocean. You're looking for the one tiny drop. So if you can give the feedback and specifics of what you're looking for, you're going to make your projects move so much stronger. And when we talk about prompting, it's about speaking clearly into AI, being able to communicate effectively. And you'll know that AI isn't an option. I just show of hands, or yes in the chat. Who knows that they need to be using AI? You're not using it enough. You need to be using it more. And it's not something that is second nature to jump to yet. Now, some of you who have been in our programs for a while or inside a pro or things like that might be using it more and more and more. I have AI attached to my hip all the time, not necessarily using AI while I'm doing it, but I mean, this is probably too much information. I use AI in the shower. I record myself and all of my thoughts because that's the best place I think. And that allows me to just record everything that I need to do for the entire day. I feed that to AI and it processes agendas, it processes workshops, it processes emails. And I might just do one long recording when I'm walking around, when I'm taking a walk, where I'm taking my kids places, and I'm constantly using that, feeding it AI, and I'm giving it to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever best practice, Manus or inside of our app, whatever the best AI tool is for what things I'm doing. And we'll talk about what best AI tools are for what as well. So again, by the end of the program, you won't feel AI is optional. You will feel that it is essential to what we're doing right now. So I mentioned this a second ago. Think of AI as your assistant and let it handle the low level thinking tasks. In fact, it can now process higher level thinking tasks as well. It's your second brain because it stores knowledge. You have projects, you have GPTs, you have knowledge bases. These all store projects for you, these store information for you. And AI is your GPS. It gives you that clarity. One of the things that I do, and we'll talk about this maybe on a later training or as a bonus, is that I've been feeding a clean version of ChatGPT. So let me explain what that means. So I have ChatGPT, I have the pro version at $200 a month. I have our AI app, I have Claude, I have Manus, I have GenSpark. I have pretty much every single AI platform that you can possibly imagine I have access to. But one of the unique features that ChatGPT has is memory. And so it has the best. I know Claude just introduced memory not too long ago, but ChatGPT's been there. So what I do with my ChatGPT is I have a completely separate Plus account at $20 a month, and I feed it everything you can possibly think of me. I make sure that do not train or do not share is clicked on this one. It's very, very private, but I feed it all of my personality tests, my Colby, my understand myself, my wealth dynamics. I feed it questions. I have it ask me questions. I interview. When I have challenges throughout the day, I ask it to analyze that. That ChatGPT knows everything about me and how to optimize my life. That's literally my second brain, and it knows more about me than I know about myself. It's a really scary thing, by the way, but it's super effective to help me just bounce off problems when I run into things because oftentimes our human emotions are what stops us from really finding the solutions or the challenges. So that's one thing that I second brain. Now, when I also say AI is your GPS, it provides the clarity and the next step because oftentimes, again, that human emotion gets in the way. We have too many ideas, we have too many things to focus on. It allows us to really just sit there and ask it questions when we're not just asking for a demand, right? There's multiple ways of using AI where we're not just commanding it to give us something back. We're asking it as our brainstorming partner. That's a very big way of using AI. So let's talk about that. This is the first big shift in AI. The first big shift in using AI and thinking about AI is delegating your thinking tasks. Delegating your thinking tasks. I do this for pretty much every presentation I do right now is not just AI, give me a presentation on this topic. I talk into a recorder or I talk into a transcriber, something that transcribes my ideas. I have it then organize my ideas for me. I have it research my ideas that aren't well researched or need to develop out. I ask it back and forth. I say, what do you think about this idea? Or what are ways that I can make this stronger? It rewrites it for me, it proofreads it for me, it organizes everything for me, and it works so I don't have to. I did this the other day when I was writing those sales letters. I write a lot of sales messages for our company. It's something that I've taken more task of just because now AI has made it a lot easier. What normally would have taken me 3 days to do takes me just a couple hours because AI is now doing all the research, all the organization, and putting those notes together. And when I talk about 3 days or even 3 weeks to write a project, I'm talking about research time. I'm talking about understanding voice. I'm talking about different angles and different hooks. And I can tell you the exact process that I did that was fighting back and forth with AI. So I saw the output and it was creating the output as we went. I said, well, I didn't like this. I don't like this. This sounds, this is a little insight on me. I said, one of my feedback prompts was, this sucks. Try it again. That was it. And it gave me, and the prompt said, you're right. This doesn't do what we're trying to do. And so that's not a great prompt engineering prompt, but in my frustration of what I was building out, it understood it and was able to help me come out with something more. So not only do you feed AI your commands, and we'll talk about these prompts in a second, not only do you feed AI these commands, but you have to give it that feedback loop. Now, we'll talk about some of the limitations in a second, and some of these limitations have gone away. For example, if you keep feeding and going back and forth, after a while, especially if it's a long thread, it will start forgetting and you have to remind it again. That's okay. We can start with a different thread or we can remind AI. If it goes way off rails, well, we start a new thread and that's okay. Understanding these limitations and parameters that we have right now are super important. That lets you not get frustrated, but it also gives you that guidance that you need to know that now you can, this is what you're working within. And so now I know this might happen. It might fail in the middle because sometimes it does that. If there's a new upgrade, for example, I was working in Claude the other day, directly in the system, not inside of our app. Claude kept failing on me again and again and again and again. So I just opened the browser window. I walked away for an hour. I came back and then it stopped. It stopped doing that. So you just know the limitations and not get frustrated with it. Super important to know where you stand with that.